Oh, okay, so we're gonna do this. We're gonna talk about relationships, all right? Seriously, talk about relationships. So let's just get down to it. Alright, so this is going to be like multiple series of relationships that we talk about here. And I say that because there's so many different levels to successful relationships, whether a 9-year platonic relationship or an intimate relationship or a relationship with yourself. There's so many different levels to a relationship. So the first one that I want to tackle, which is the ultimate one that you should be working on every day of your life, regardless of who you're with, is a relationship with yourself. Okay? If you do not have a solid relationship with yourself, you cannot have a successful relationship with anyone else. You will fumble through that relationship if you are not secure within yourself. And what I mean by that is, okay, you know how you always hear, put the mask on yourself before you put it on your child or anyone else. Because if you're the one who's going to be the savior or the one that's going to be the helper in a relationship or going to be coming to somebody's needs, you have to be able before you can help them. Because if you're not able, then you're both just floundering, like a fish. So you have to take care of yourself first. And how you take care of yourself is you do not allow anything or anyone to come into your space that violates your space. As a human being, we have boundaries. We have red flags that go off. We have an understanding of what we like and what we don't like. I don't know about you, but if I'm around someone and I just don't vibe with their spirit, and I say this all the time and my family laugh at me because I tell them after I meet someone, and it's not me judging someone by first sight. I watch people and I see how they maneuver and I see how they treat other people around them. And if I feel like how you're treating others around you, around your space, is not conducive to what I want and how I want to be treated, then I don't really want you around me. I'll keep you at arm's length. I will not disrespect you. I won't be nasty towards you. I just won't let you into my circle. So that is, I think that is a key point to relationships. All too many times we allow people in our circle, in our inner circle, to know all about us and hear all about our relationships around our families, that you may get these red flags. People who have crossed your boundaries. People who have made you feel uneasy in certain situations, but you continue on allowing them in your space. Why is that? Why do we do that? Is it that we crave the attention or we crave the relationship from that person or just from people in general? Why do we do that? Why do we forego who we are and forego our boundaries and our limitations in order to accept somebody who is not giving us what we deserve? So that, to me, is huge. Another thing is, you have to love yourself enough to know that you're worthy. Your self-worth is very valuable. It might not be valuable to the next person, but it should be very valuable to you. Give you an example. If you go into a job and you're sitting there and you're just like, oh, I don't know how much to ask for, to pay for, you know, for my salary. But you get there and you undercut yourself just to get that position. You're not acknowledging your self-worth to the person who's sitting across from you, who wants to hire you, who wants to see that you're confident enough, and you're saying, you know what, I am worth X amount of dollars because I give 120%. I have been, a victim of that, of undercutting myself. In this society, going into an interview as a Black woman who is very qualified in the job and the skills, and I know my worth. I know what I can bring to the table. I know what I can do for an agency that I work for, and I know how I am with my clients. I have undercut myself before too, and I've done that because I want the job. So because I want the job so bad, I undercut who I am and I devalue myself for that position. Whereas if I just would have said, you know what, I know I'm worth this much and I know what you're paying other people, then this is what I'm standing at and standing strong. And if you don't want to pay me, then okay, that's fine. Now with social work, we always have to look at, and I always look at, I love what I do, and sometimes, not sometimes, my mommy just keep it straight. Social workers, we don't get paid enough. Just like teachers don't get paid enough. We do a lot, and because we're servicing the community, we are passionate and love what we do, which sometimes we don't get paid for that passion and that service that we do, which is unfortunate, but it's a reality of the fields that we're in. But nonetheless, so knowing your self-worth, know how valuable you are as a person. In a relationship, know your self-worth. I know you're probably thinking like, who is this chick coming talking about relationships? Like, I've been with my husband for 27, 28 years. We got together when we were 13, 14 years old. We have been through ups and downs. But all along, I can tell you, I have struggled with knowing my self-worth. I have struggled with knowing exactly who I am at that moment because we got together when we were at such a young age, and it's like growing pains that we had to go through. However, today, I can tell you, and maybe I'll pull him into a video. I don't know if we want him. I have to think about that. He got a mouth on him. Look, I love my husband, but I also know my limits, okay? I know my boundaries, all right? So I might be cutting my eyes at him a lot, like, or he might act right. We just don't know. I'm just saying. But in a relationship, you have to know your self-worth. You have to know that you're very valuable. If you see red flags popping up all over the place, or if you see that something isn't right in your spirit, you feel it in your gut, and you're just like, this don't feel right, don't accept it. Do not accept it. There is nothing that says that you have to accept it. Nothing. Have a conversation about it. If that conversation goes well, good, kudos, you're building a foundation of great communication. If that conversation doesn't go well, then you got more to work on. But do not accept it, because the first time, no, I won't even say the first time you accept something, it's kind of like, okay, I'm gonna take that on the chin. Second time you accept it, the same behavior, there's some resentment that starts to build up. The third, fourth, fifth time, that resentment can eventually turn into anger, which can eventually turn into dislike or hate. I don't like using, saying hate, but it can turn into dislike or hate. So If you do not acknowledge and say what you are not accepting in a relationship, you are doing a disservice to yourself. And that disservice to yourself is hurting you more than it's hurting the other person, because they're walking around thinking that it's okay that they just called you out your name, or it's okay that they said something to you or did something to you because you allowed it to happen. Know your self-worth. Know how worthy you are as a human being. You are somebody's baby. At the end of the day, you are somebody's baby. You are somebody's friend. You are somebody's something. And if you don't know your self-worth, then it's time for you to go to those people who you value and love so much and ask them. Ask them, why do you love me? What is it about me that you appreciate? What is it about me that makes me special? So, like I said, this is going to be a series of conversations, because you can't just talk about relationships and just be like one and done. It's not like that. Relationships it's a lot of levels, So if you have any comments, please leave them. If you have any questions, or if you want me to elaborate on something that I mentioned, I probably am not going to edit this. And I'm saying this here now, because yes, vlogging is hard. However, it is only as hard as I will make it. And I am going to be my authentic self, and I'm not going to be confounded or restricted by the edit button. What you see is what you get. You know, the one thing that I always stress to my friends and to my clients is that you have to be your authentic self. If you're not your authentic self, then somebody doesn't know. People do not know who you are. They really don't know who you are if you're not being your authentic self. So I'm going to be my authentic self, and if I do edit any of this, it's just to cut out maybe if my dog runs out and does something, or just things that, you know, redundant, maybe. But I'm going to try to do these videos with as little amounts of editing as I can. Plus, it's time consuming. Okay, let's keep it real. Alright, I can go on in a tangent and talk about stuff forever, but keep in mind, this relationship thing, we're going to talk about it and we're going to exhaust it. I'm going to probably bring in some of my friends so we can talk about our friendships and talk about how they think I am as a friend. And I want them to be honest. So if you're watching this, I want you to start thinking about me and the questions you can ask me and things that you might even want to know pertaining to a relationship. If we haven't already talked about it, that you might want to ask me about. Alright, so I am in my gym clothes, which authentic Melissa feels very comfortable in her gym clothes, and that's why I'm doing it like this, but also because I'm about to go to the gym. So I hope you all have a wonderful, beautiful day, and I will talk to you later. Bye, beautiful people.